What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, periodically, over the last bunch of times, we have kind of become accustomed to Dungeon Defenders news coming on Fridays. We didn't really get a whole lot of new news. However, we did get kind of a recap of what's to come, plus a few more details. So let's just hop right on into it. This all came via a Discord post from Philip in the official Chromatic Discord server. And as it says right at the top of the message, there won't be a live stream today. But as a reminder from the last live stream, we'll be doing a live stream next week, Friday, July 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific time, where we'll be talking about the next Dungeon Defenders game. The time did convert over to my time zone, which is Pacific time, so plan accordingly. That way you can make sure to attend that particular live stream. To recap the last live stream, DD1, the reception to the new Hermit hero has been really well received, so we'll be leaving the door open for potential future additions later down the road. DD2. Development on DD2 is going strong and isn't slowing down, and the DD2 team is working on the survival game mode update, which is expected sometime this month. And we'll then move on to the Knights of Dragonfall content update, which is going to have that Vampire Hunter hero, new maps, and a new boss. Dungeon Defenders Awakened. Development on DDA will be refocused on core promised features on things like split screen and cross save, and finishing existing development on things like core transmog, tavern storage, and other quality of life features. So this means there is kind of going to be a nice wrap-up update or series of updates for Dungeon Defenders Awakened. It says that right there, this will mean no content updates in the near future, so we can refocus our efforts. Once again, they didn't shut the door on DDA. However, DDA is not supporting its own profit model. So as a business, they just have to move forward. So they do plan on buttoning things up. Getting split screen and cross save in is pretty huge. The core transmog, the tavern storage system, those are already being worked on. So that's quite nice as well, particularly tavern storage. DDGR. We'll be pausing further development on DDGR for the near future, as it's clear to us and the player base that the game missed the mark in many ways, and unfortunately is unsustainable to devote more resources to the project. RIP DDGR. And then new project. We want to learn from the mistakes, be more community driven, when it comes to getting feedback and focusing on making a fun game at its core that can be accomplished and expanding upon the scope instead of promising too much. As for the live stream next week on Friday, what to expect is a much smaller scope game than our previous titles. We'll be going over what the game is. We'll be talking about the direction of where we want to take the game. We'll be doing our first community survey regarding the new game after the stream. What not to expect: any kind of wild, crazy new genre, meaning you can rule out MOBAs, Battle Royale, MMO, another variation of DD1, DD2, DDA, or DDGR. A grand master plan that's set in stone, as there's many things to still be figured out, and also where we want to get the community involved. Any kind of gameplay or screenshots, as there has been no development on the new project yet, and this stream is the starting point. A release timeline or roadmap, as our goal is to focus on making a fun and polished game first. So we're going to get basically no promises of the new game and what it's going to be about. As it says right here, it's not going to be another variation of a base Dungeon Defenders game. So this is going to be a game in the Dungeon Defenders universe, but it's going to be a completely different game. Now, I would assume it's still going to be a tower defense game. I think that's a pretty safe bet. And there's a pretty wide variety of tower defense games out there. There's things like Bloons. There's things like, say, Rogue Tower. There's things like the Defense Grid series. And then, of course, there's the third-person stuff like Dungeon Defenders games or Orc Must Die games, which they've already said it's not going to be one of those. So do not expect Dungeon Defenders 3. Do not expect a new Dungeon Defenders type game, but expect something in the same genre. On the same note, you don't make a game in a month. It's actually only been 2 weeks since they made the decisions and told us that they were going to be refocusing their efforts. So don't expect to see anything about the new game. I would be surprised to even see any concept art. It's going to be the starting point of where development begins on that project. So don't have any expectations other than the base idea or thought of what the game will be. In closing, they threw down overall. While many had high hopes for DDA, and while I truly wanted and tried to make DDA the best it could be, the reality of the situation is that it's too little too late to recover, even if everything were done perfectly, as many players have already moved on or made up their minds about the game. With that in mind, our goal is to admit our mistakes and to do things better moving forward. I mean, I had to take a brief pause there. I don't even know what to say. Chromatic and Trendy have said many times over the years that they're going to do things different moving forward, but they've never admitted any fault. So, admitting mistake, saying they want to do things better moving forward. Of course, I'm very optimistic, as I do love the Dungeon Defenders universe. So I am going to really look at this, or attempt to look at this in a positive fashion, instead of focusing on all of the negativity left behind. That means scaling back our project scope to something that is reasonable for our team size, and not to overpromise things we can't deliver on. It also means working with the community from the beginning of the project, instead of waiting until it's too late in the project to take feedback. We'll be accomplishing this by doing community surveys, public playtests, and more development live streams so that we can gather player feedback early on when it matters the most. I mean, it sounds pretty darn positive, y'all. I know everyone has got their positives or negatives about Dungeon Defenders games. People love Dungeon Defenders 1. A lot of people love Dungeon Defenders 2. A lot of people love DDA and DDGR as well. However, one thing about all the games is there has always been some form of negativity tied to them. And besides DD1, which I think overall has more of a positive than it does a negative, as far as the player perception and what people think, DD2, for example, although there's a ton of people that love it, there's 10 times more people that can't stand the game. So there's very mixed emotions about all the Dungeon Defenders games. It appears that Chromatic is trying to get a fresh start and move forward onto something that is going to be a well-designed, well-finished product. Additionally, which they didn't put in here, and I'm kind of surprised, is no Dungeon Defenders game has ever been made in a modern game engine. Never. All the way back from the beginning. When, by the time DD1 launched, Unreal 3 was already nearing the end of its life. By the time DD2 launched, Unreal 3 had been completely abandoned and was done for, and Unreal 4 was starting to near the end of its life. Well, this new project is going to be worked on in Unreal 5, so it's going to be a brand new game engine, completely modern, up to date with the current standards of gaming today, and the developers have got to be pretty darn excited about that, as they have not had a modern set of tools to work with this entire time. So everyone who's been there a long time, since the very beginning, shout out Pitire. You're going to get to work on something new and shiny, and that's pretty damn awesome. So, like I said, I'm a little biased. I do have a unconditional love for the Dungeon Defenders franchise. I will fully admit that anyone who hates the franchise or hates the company probably has pretty darn good reasons to. However, I am going to do my best to look at this one in a positive light as far as what's to come. I love me some tower defense. Assuming it's a tower defense game, it might be something pretty darn great. So once again, tune in on Friday, July 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, over on Twitch for the reveal of the base version of the product. That will do it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.